Look, all right, look, it has started recording now, so because we already came.
Hey.
I'm like, all right.
Hello, greetings.
Greetings, long time no see.
I know.
Now
Girl.
I see how I gotta hunt you down. I'm trying to figure out. See, this makes me look clear, then I don't look so clear right here.
I think it's because the
Yeah,
lighting.
you need a better lighting. You need some better lighting.
If you had, do you have shades or something on your window?
I do, but I also have a cat who has knocked 3 of my blinds out.
Well, that's why. Can you turn up against a wall?
Can you see me clear now?
I mean, I can
You're a little
see you,
dark.
but it's
Yeah,
a
we
little
can see
dark
you,
just
but
because the light behind you. Yeah,
see,
that's better.
and it got better. It got better.
Okay. I was trying to get on quick enough, but then Liza started crying her head off.
Oh.
I gave her, unfortunately, I shouldn't have did it, but I gave her a little ice cream.
Oh. And now look, she got quiet then, huh?
No, she got crazy because she wanted some more. She's my greedy child. I'm like, she's a.
Oh my gosh.
When I tell you, like, I knew Nick was sneaking and giving her food though because she'd
Girl, I didn't understand none of that.
No, I said I knew Nick was sneaking and giving her food because randomly every time I would have something and I'd be holding her, she'd reach for it as if she knew exactly what it was and start going. So today I called him out on it. I said, "You've been giving her stuff behind my back, haven't you?" He was like, "Just a little taste, but you going all in." I was like, "Well, next month she's gonna be 6 months, so look, she's gonna be on some food. She'll be nice and happy." So Donna said that she's going to be driving. This should be interesting.
Okay. What?
Oh, because of Darius. But this is already recorded, so I'm not gonna.
Oh, you just saw my message. Goodbye, dear. Goodbye, girl. I sent you that before I logged in. Goodbye, girl.
I'm not gonna say anything. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. Can it be edited? Because when you were coming in, I don't know what I was saying when you were coming in.
I cut off the beginning last time, but it took me a second to do it. I'm about to eat this wing really quick, so I'm gonna definitely try to cut it off.
Why don't you just turn your video off?
Heck no.
I'm
so hungry. I'm so hungry. I started back training.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Where are you at?
Right, you gotta cut the camera on.
Like, we ain't about to do this if we can't see.
Have you heard from Delilah?
Well, I didn't say that.
Good.
Yeah.
Coming. And Kamisha. Rashawn's not coming tonight.
Wait, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you see me? Oh.
Not yet. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, now I can see you.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
Long time, long see.
So originally.
So, like I told y'all, I'm driving. Well, like I told Judy, well, I don't know if y'all saw the text message, but I'm driving.
Well, yeah, I seen the text. You don't have like a mount? We want you to be safe.
Yeah, so I am driving in a big truck. Like
Clearly,
like a big service truck, and I left my mount at home. So yeah, I was gonna try to set it up. Yeah, I was gonna try to set it up like that. Y'all can see me, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I was trying to eliminate a lot of background noise, but this truck is loud.
So how's your baby?
Ain't no baby no more.
I know.
Right. I'm like, who has a baby? Period. Because look, Talia is 10 and she is as big as us. Believe me. That girl is all legs.
So she was born the year Anton. No, she was born a year before them.
She was born 2 years after them.
Talia was born in 2010. So whatever that means to you. Because I have no idea.
They're
2008, baby.
Hi, Kamisha.
Where's Kamisha?
She's
Kamisha.
Hi, Kamisha.
So apparently you guys know why I picked everybody for this.
Yeah.
This talk.
I mean, it's throwback. This is the old clan.
Wow.
Well, you did call it the throwback.
I don't think I need to be a part of this group.
But why you gotta say it like that? At least I wasn't like, Darcy was like, so this is not Tia, this is French fry. And I was just like,
I knew you were gonna do that. I was waiting for that, and I knew you were about to do that, though. I knew you were. I knew you were.
I just wanted to clarify which Tia it was because I didn't know, she called old Tia too. So I was like, is this old Tia or French fry Tia? And she was
wow. Don't do that.
She's the only
I knew it was gonna happen though. I knew it was gonna come up. I knew somebody was gonna say that. I know. I'm more like a potato wedge these days.
You can come in.
I'm not like the old McDonald's French fry y'all used to call. I'm more, KFC potato wedge, extra seasoned, and been through some things.
I heard KFC done away with they potato wedges.
I heard.
I ain't ate no fast food in a long time. So.
Well, I haven't had KFC in a long time. I just, I could use the reference for the round, thick round potato. That was all.
Right. I got it. Kamisha.
Aris.
L.A.
How are you?
Good.
It's been forever.
I know.
Okay, I think Delilah's coming. She was wondering if we were doing it on Zoom. I was like, yeah, my text messaging is slow. So I'll tell you guys, but I'll tell her when she comes on. We're gonna do an introduction. Okay.
Gonna do a what?
We're gonna do an introduction, so you're gonna introduce yourself, and then just kind of go with just tell her a little bit about yourself, like.
DRA.
I'm
not even gonna say nothing. Okay. You could have got me prepared.
You gotta go around.
You gotta think about what you're gonna say.
Tell 2 truths and a lie.
Okay. Let me think.
Think.
Wait. What are we supposed to be saying about ourselves?
You're just gonna. So I'll just say, I'm Diari, and we'll do our throwback edition. So then I was the weird, quirky girl that kind of was awkward and friendly.
Oh Lord, I gotta think about what I'm gonna say.
So
I went through a lot of personalities at that time of my life.
So pretty much, I got to introduce myself as a teenager, as teenage me.
Yeah, and preferably in the years of 2000, and then yeah, no, you weren't, but young adults. Yeah. So let's say 2000 to about, I would say 2006. That's a good.
I was 20 to 26.
Okay, good. So you are a young adult.
Oh, Jesus.
All right, well, now I'm about to go on Facebook Live. Wait for Delilah.
I should have thought about this.
But think about it.
Yeah,
it's not to be
into this.
He said there was a lot of different personalities. Well, I used to be schizophrenic, but now I have no personality.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot with you guys.
Okay, so I need somebody to go first. I need an example.
Yeah, exactly.
Tiara, go first.
Okay. Hang on 1 second.
We're going youngest to oldest.
Hold on. I'm still getting used to doing this Facebook Live thing. Hang on. No, I'll just call out your name. I'll just say, "Oh, that's your name."
You stupid, bro.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. Let me
know when you post it so I can share it.
Okay. Say something about this video. We are
Well, Danae popped up.
and she probably will be in and out if she's driving.
Where's Delilah? Did she come in yet?
Oh,
okay.
I think she's trying, but I don't know. She had texted me and said, "Hey, are we doing it through Zoom?" Let me just call her really quick, just to be proactive.
Oh, I gotta text Carol.
Let's see. There's Donna.
Yeah, my phone fell.
Hey, well, I figured that.
No, that's
Please leave your message for
Okay.
Delilah.
I don't know, but we're gonna go for it. I'm still getting used to this.
Did you tag me in the Facebook Live thing?
You did the little yogis or your personal page?
My personal. All right, let's see.
Hey, Doris. Can you just tag me in the video?
Okay, once I figure out how to do that.
Yeah, it's on there now. Okay, anyways, so now I'm still technology illiterate. Hang on. Okay, there we go. So we're going to introduce ourselves. This is the third intentional conversation, and this is my throwback edition, as they don't want to be called throwbacks. So I am Diari, and since this is a throwback edition, those who know me now know me as, the mom and the entrepreneur and this, busy person that's ripping and running and pretty, I would like to believe, a little grounded, but me back in the day, I was not at all. I was very dreamy, very I would say, to sum it up, just awkward altogether. Just very awkward. All right, so to you, because you are awkward, that's why. That's why you feel that way.
I'm rolling my eyes. I'd like to think that I was not, but I guess I was.
We were.
I think we all were.
We were kind of some aliens.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about Mock.
No. Oh my. Wait. Was that from
Mars Attacks. Anyway, I messed up your introduction.
Right now.
Okay.
Okay, Kamisha, go ahead.
I'm Kamisha. I think I'm pretty much the same that I was when I was a kid, a teenager, whatever.
Agreed.
Even killed, reserved, the bookworm, the nerd, the weirdo. I've learned to embrace it.
Superpower. You fly your freak flag very high. So it's good. Not freaking that way. Freaking.
Nobody said that.
I looked at Dari's face. Dari's face
was not thinking that. I just thought that saying was hilarious. I did not think anything nasty.
Okay, Darius.
All right. So I feel like I'm the same person I was back then. The biggest difference I will say between Darius now and Darius, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, is Darius back then was a hothead. I would jump and cuss and be ready to fight anybody and their mama.
You were.
But I'm not like that now. I am definitely more even keel, like Kamisha said. I am definitely more I think about, the future, and I think about a lot and everything that can be affected. And yeah.
I can agree with all of that.
I'm a thinker now. Back then I was very spontaneous. Now I tend to like I said, just think about everything.
I can agree with that. All right, Tia.
Okay, I knew my time was coming. Well, I'm Tia, and basically, I think that I'm still a lot the same. To be honest, like I'm still me, but I'm a lot different too. I kind of think about things before I do them. I tend to. I never really, I was kind of go with the flow type of girl, when I was younger. I won't say I was easily influenced. I always had my own mind, but
you were the influencer.
I disagree.
Let her tell it before you came on.
Oh yeah, I disagree. I think that we influenced each other in a lot of ways. I'll put it that way. But you influenced me in some good ways too, and I probably needed it because without some of you guys, I'd probably be different. You know what I mean? Like I just was a free spirit, but now I've calmed down a whole lot. But I'm still me at the same time. Like honestly, I'm still me.
Yeah. Well, when you said free spirit, it was like kind of like a little bit of a negative tone to it, but I look at a free spirit as such a beautiful thing.
Well, I think of it, when I think of it, I look at it like I was more of I was hard-headed.
For real?
Yeah, I think I was really hard-headed.
She did her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah. She just did what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
I tried.
She's still like that. Listen, even though we've been out of touch, I very much know Tia is still like that. You still do what you want to do.
I do. But there's nothing wrong with that, though. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I look at other people sometimes, and I'm just like, I can see the change in a lot of people. Yeah. But quite honestly, like when I look at myself, I don't think of it as in a negative way or anything like that. But I mean, I don't really feel like I've changed a whole lot. Maybe, in the aspect of my world, yeah, like I'm a mom now. I'm engaged now. Yeah. Like there's a lot of things that have changed, but like as far as like who I am, like I'm still retarded.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I definitely think I'm still flighty and I'm still quirky and weird. I just keep it to myself a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? And I'm sorry not to jump back on me, but what's funny is I think about me, like younger me, and I'm like, oh, Darius was quiet and reserved, but ready to pop off at any given moment. And now I just feel like I'm more quiet and reserved. And I mean, I still say what I want to say, but I found respectful ways to get my point across.
Yeah. Well, I think I've grown in that way too. I have definitely grown in that way too. I don't know. It just some things I think maybe just it's just who you are. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I can agree with that. I think that I've just kind of learned better ways of
Try to reel
expressing
it in
myself.
a little bit.
Yeah, just a better way of expressing.
Okay, Donna.
Oh yeah, we still introducing. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Donna. You know, as you guys were talking, I was thinking like I was thinking about like when you guys were teenagers, I was in my 20s. So, you know, I was a new mom, I was married, you know, I didn't know what I wanted out of life. You know, I was just still exploring a lot of things or whatever and discovering a lot of things about myself and about relationships and things like that. But compared to 10 years before that, when I was a teenager, thinking about how old you guys were at that time and how old I was, you know, I think overall I was a very happy, bubbly, you know, person. Friendly people. I always looked at myself as being an introvert, but everyone always said I was an extrovert. So yeah, but there's a lot of things that I'm sure we'll talk about later or whatever, or maybe we won't or whatnot. But there's a lot of things that happened into my teenage years that really shape who I am now. So yeah. So I think the core of me is still the same, but there's a lot of things like now I don't really care about what people think about me anymore, as opposed to maybe 5 years ago where I would be ready to jump off a bridge, you know, if I felt like, oh my God, someone thinks this way of me or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of things that have changed. But yeah, I guess
it's funny you say that because I feel like either I was talking to someone the other day or I was writing it, I don't remember. And I was talking about how when we say that, like, I don't care what people think about me. And I would like to believe that to an extent, I don't care what people think about me to the point where it, like, you know, makes me, like, you know, change or makes me, you know, adapt or, you know, it almost even like, what's the word? Like, you know, conform, you know, like, okay, well, you know, if I'm so different, then maybe I need to conform to someone, you know, everybody else's ways. So, but I still think for me, there still is a level of like, you know, I kind of do care what people think about me, you know? And I don't know, sometimes that's a bad thing, and sometimes it's okay, you know? And I've come to a point, I think that's my difference of where when, like, I was a kid, I honestly don't think I cared at all what people thought about me. Like, I think I was so carefree that you couldn't say anything where I was like, really? Who, me? You know, I mean, it didn't faze me. I remember getting into it with some girls at Oglethorpe. Oh my God, it was so awful. Talk about selfish. I was a very selfish person. But that's what I mean by I did not care whatsoever about what people thought, how people felt. It was the BRA show.
I gotta pull up. What you gonna do? You gonna slow down? What are you gonna do?
I was gonna say, are you ordering Chick-fil-A? Like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about road rage. That's something that's still is a part of me is road rage.
I was like,
I said, I'm driving.
I was really gonna be like, is this over a drive-through in the middle? I was like,
And this is Danae.
I thought she was ordering too. I was about to say, you are not on mute, man.
Okay. No. I don't even eat fast food anymore. So yeah, no.
Yeah, I am kind of all Chick-fil-A out. But anyways, needless to say, so thinking back, I remember getting into it with these girls, and it dawned on me at the time. It was like a glimpse. It was a glitch in the matrix. It was like this glimpse of future me. It was just like one day you're gonna look back at this day and realize, part of what they're saying is very true. You're behaving like you're solely thinking about yourself. It was awful. It was crazy. But then I also know when I'm stuck in a bind, a situation where, I feel like my back is against the wall. I feel like we do things in self-preservation, kind of like it's like the fight or flight feeling. So you just like, I'm gonna preserve myself, and you guys are grown. You guys deal with what you got to deal with, and I'm gonna just do me. And so so that was my mindset back then. And then I look back and I'm like, wow, I was a little self-centered. I could definitely say that. And but now I do, going back to what I was saying, I do kind of care what people think, to the extent of like, I want to be, and I always say this for my vision boards, I want to be blameless in every situation in my life. Like, I want where if someone said something behind my back, it would be like someone would jump to defend me. They'd be like, that is not her at all, And so when I say I care about what people think about me, it's more so like in a positive light versus like, to mold me, to influence, my character traits versus that, if that makes any sense.
But I know for me, it's the opposite. When I was a teenager and younger, whatnot, when I say I care what people think, like I have a feeling of people who are close to me, family and close friends and stuff like that. I feel like those are the people who, like if they say something, then it should be, it must be something to it or whatever. So I should really listen to it. But when you have people who, you feel like we're your friends or whatever, and they start saying these bad things or negative things about you, and it's not because that's who you are or whatever the case may be, then it's different, And now I don't care about that kind of stuff. Like, there's very few people in my circle who I actually care about what they say. The rest of them can go jump in the lake. I don't really care how anybody feels about it.
I would agree that when I was younger, I cared about what people thought of me, even though I had this tough exterior where I'd be like, well, I don't really care what you say. You know what I'm saying? In the back of my mind, I knew that it would get to me or it would bother me. And now as an adult, I feel like I still care what people think of me, because obviously you want to be seen in a good light. You want to be seen, in a positive way or whatnot. But it's to a lesser extent. Obviously, if somebody's saying something that I know isn't true about me, I don't care. Like, go ahead with that foolishness. Right. You know what I'm saying? But for example, like me now, being in the job market and looking for a job, right? I want to impress employers. I want even the one that decides to give me a chance and hire me, I want them to think that they hired somebody that's competent and smart enough to do the job. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel like for somebody to say they don't care what anybody says about them, like ever, I feel like that doesn't necessarily, I feel like nobody can say that like and be 100% honest, because everybody wants to be seen in a good light.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Can I just inject one little thing or whatnot? I think that there's a difference between caring about people and wanting to be seen in a good light. like using Doris's example, she says she's in the job market and she wants to be viewed as competent and smart and all of those things, but those things are what she already is. So it's already going to come across because that's who she is. She is competent. She is intelligent. She's more than capable to do the job. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, and
oh, you went out. I think
something that's totally baseless. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense?
You went out for a second, but what I was gonna say, try not moving your hands so much. Sometimes I feel like it catches movement, and then it like the technology isn't so smart, so it's trying to catch up with your movement.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I get what you're saying too, but I think that what Doris is saying is that it may not come across, even though she is those things, it may not come across that, to some people that may not come across,
like let me give you guys an example. So when I was in clinical, and for those of you that don't know what I mean when I say clinical, basically before I graduated in school, I'm working as a midwife. Well, I was working as a midwife student in clinic as if I was in that position, right? But I have somebody that's already in that midwife position kind of following me, making sure that I'm doing everything right? So when I was in clinical, I made a mistake. And I knew better than that mistake, but I made a mistake. And even though my preceptor was like, you're good, let's move, like, did she die though? You know what I'm saying? Like, your patient is fine. Like, you didn't hurt anybody. You didn't hurt a baby. You're good. You know what I'm saying? In the back of my mind, I'm still like, oh my God, she think I'm stupid. She think this girl is, da 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 da. Even though she never even said that to me. But that's me caring about what she think about me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And I feel like we do that even in our friendships, like, I mean, like, we've been friends for God knows how long, and even still, it's like, you're just like, oh, I remember when I first told you about Rustia, and that was, you knew me in the thick of things. So it was just like to tell you, oh, by the way, now I'm this divorcee of, what would have been like, what I felt would have been like, he was supposed to be my ride or die, and we were in this life together. So even to tell you that, there was a bit of like, gosh, I wonder what she thinks. I wonder, I'm this crazy person.
You should you should have really, though, honestly, you should have known better than that. I mean, we're friends because of you, not for him. Like, I was cool with him because of you, but regardless of whatever, like, I didn't care. You made the best decision for you, and I didn't judge you because of that. Hell.
And even without the judgment, we still think it. We still think it. We still think it. I think it all the time. I think, man, when I come out of Corona, all my friends that saw me when I was 15 pounds lighter, I wonder what they're going to be doing. Hey, girl, I need to lose this 15 pounds before I come out of this COVID. No, I'm just joking.
And that's my motivation, because I'm like, when I step out, I want the folks that saw me when I gained 30 pounds from school, going to be like, oh, shit, Doris. My bad. I got a potty mouth.
But definitely, I mean, I think to an extent we all kind of, we do that a lot, and even in a judgment-free zone, I think that, and that's a perfect segue into some of the topics that I want to talk about today, because I feel like my ultimate thing in life is to create that kind of atmosphere where people know that no matter what, they're going through in life, you can always count on me not being judgmental, and so it's just like, I really want to create that environment for my friends, for my family, to be able to come to me with whatever, even if it's just good stuff, even if it's like, hey, I'm going to, like Warren, I'm going to go live in Puerto Rico and just, I'm just staying now. I'm not coming back. I want you to be able to tell me that confidently, knowing I'm going to be like, well,
Wait, he living in Puerto Rico?
No, he's not staying.
Oh, I was like, how come I didn't know?
Dari's like, hold on.
No,
This
he's
is
not
news to me.
No, he's not sick. But if he did decide, I want to know that I am going to be, I'm going to give you every side of it. But I also know I'm not going to, I'm not going to judge you. I hate to say I don't care that much to be like, don't do it, don't live your life, don't, yada, yada, yada. But it's like one of those things where I'm like, it is your life at the end of the day, and
Right.
I think I've witnessed a lot in my life, especially over the years. One person that popped in mind was Wesley. I think he wants to go move somewhere else. And I think like a lot of people have been discouraging it, but me, I'm kind of like, well, the thing is, you won't know if you're going to like it unless you do it.
Yeah.
So, and those are the things that I feel like kind of create us when we're younger. Like, I remember, especially like, and this is another reason why I asked you, Donna, in particular, to be on the panel today, even though you're fairly older than us, is simply because
fairly older.
So I said,
I was waiting for that.
I said barely older than us, not fairly older.
Oh, I thought you said fairly too.
I thought you said fairly. I'm pretty sure that's
older than us. No, you're barely older than us because you talk like, oh, well, when you guys were teens, I was this well into adulthood, and I'm like, well, you were hanging out with us. You were taking us bowling. You were, like you were that older sister that we would speak to have a little bit of freedom, these certain things, and so
I did that because I didn't have freedom. So I was like, I can afford to, because Bill and Carol trust me, so they'll let you guys come with me and you guys can go bowling, or you guys can come and spend the night at the house, or go to the movies, or hang out with your friends, or get tattoos while you're under my watch, whatever.
Hang on one second. Marlena, I did not say fairly older. I said barely older, okay? I might have said
but yeah, that's why I did that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but I feel like you were there when we were going through those years that kind of like made or break, those were the make or break years, where it was like, yeah, we were, screaming for freedom. We were, just coming into, a lot of who we are today. And we had that judgment-free zone. I didn't feel like you and Eddie would have judged us for, wanting to be free, wanting to be kids, wanting to be teenagers, wanting to be crazy and wild. And now when I say wild, I don't mean promiscuous, okay? I mean wild, like
burning your couch
just
with
being
a
able to do what you want to do.
Yeah, with a blood. Exactly.
Able to be at the pool all night. When we couldn't do that, we used to come over your house and be able to be at the pool all night.
Yeah.
Just have that little.
But see, that's the thing. Like, I had already gone through my teenage years where I wasn't allowed to go to parties. I wasn't allowed to hang out with friends like that. I didn't do sleepovers.
Wait.
You were the oldest.
For a second, let's back up. You weren't allowed, we weren't allowed, but we all still did it, okay?
No, but I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't go. I never
go. You didn't go to a single party.
I never went to a party. I swear to God. Yeah, I never skipped school. The only day I skipped school was literally senior skip day, and Carol wrote a note for me and Tamika.
I don't.
No lie.
I don't.
I'm so serious. Like, I wasn't allowed to do that. I spent the night over one person's house. That was Alexia. And I was in the 6th grade. I spent it one night. Carolyn was there at the house 8 o'clock the next morning. Ask Carol.
You see my face?
Ask her.
Did you hear that? Oh God! Did you hear
like
that?
Though. When you're the oldest, it's like that though. When you're the
It was
oldest,
God
you don't
striking
get
the connection.
Yeah, it was.
But this is the thing though.
Was that lightning?
I have no reason to lie, but this is the point. The point that I was trying to make was not about me and how sheltered I was as a teenager. I knew how that was because then when I got to college, oh my God, I went buck wild crazy. I was like, wait, hold on. My parents aren't here to tell me no, so I could do everything that I wanted to do. And I felt like if you guys had a safe place to hang out and just be kids and hang with your friends and have fun and do all of that stuff, then
and so she let us twerk in front of the window in her dorm room. then you guys would have that all out of your system, and when you got to school, you'd be able to focus on school and be like, oh, I did that, been there, done that, did that already, whatever. I just felt like it would be different for you guys, and obviously it was.
Yeah, you were the initiator of the crazy stuff. Now you just gave it to me. Now I realize you were the gateway drug.
The gateway drug.
You introduced us to a little taste. And it just destroyed us. No, I honestly say I did not stop once I got to college. It did not. I mean, we were all still friends, so we only, which is so crazy, Tia, because the first thing I always say is, how are we doing so much when neither one of us could drive?
That's a good question.
I mean, I look back at that and I think, like, I mean, we had some really good friends. Let's just say that. Two, we probably, no, I'm not going to say probably. We were doing dangerous things. What'd you say?
I said we had God's protection. We were covered.
I was just gonna say. I was just gonna say.
Did you see how Dorisi crossed her sweater like an old lady and was stretching it?
I'm clutching my pearls.
You did too. You did.
She said God was protecting us. Oh Lord Jesus, thank you.
Yeah, we were out there, but it makes me wonder, like, are kids still like this today? Do they have more access to stuff? They're worse. And the funny thing is, I can't even fathom, my mind can't even comprehend anything worse than what we were doing,
I'll just put it like this. Like, this is what I say when it comes to Talia, to be quite honest, like, she ain't going to be able to get away with nothing. Because I was just the queen of everything, to where there's nothing she's going to be able to think about that I'm just not going to be able to see straight through. Like, there's nothing she's going to be able to get by me. And quite honestly, like, it was never hard either. Like, it wasn't hard. I don't feel like we had to sneak. I mean, it was
maybe you didn't.
DI.
I'm about to say DI and Kamisha know otherwise.
I'm like, maybe you didn't.
Well, okay. I think maybe, I did have a lot of freedom though.
But let me tell you, I know, Kamisha, you want to say something, but even within the freedom, I think, Bill and Carol did think that because we had you guys, that, even the stuff that they did let us get away with, they knew at least we weren't alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I feel like sometimes they just turned an eye. They knew things we were doing, but they just let us get away with it because they were like, well, can't chastise them about everything, but the stuff that went too far, oh yeah, I heard a year full of everything every time.
And that's the honest to God truth. Kamisha, what was you going to say?
Going back to our kids is crazy, nowadays, or do they do worse than what we do? Has anyone seen Euphoria on HBO? If not, I recommend it.
Yeah, no,
I've not seen it.
It has Zendaya and it is about high school age kids. Of course, everyone's an adult that's acting, but it's about high school age kids who Zendaya is 16 a recovering drug addict. You have, kids going to drinking parties. One of the kids, he like beats up someone or kills someone. It's crazy. And it's one of those things that's like, oh my gosh, is this what our kids are? I say our kids, I don't have kids yet, but our kids are exposed to nowadays. There's one girl who is prostituting herself online at like 15, 16 years old. Granted, it's a TV show, but it makes you question, nowadays, especially with the advent of social media, are kids more exposed to what we were? Even though we did some crazy stuff, Yeah,
I mean, we weren't stupid though. I feel like there are so many more educational things out there. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think even in the midst of our irresponsibility, I knew I didn't want to be a teen mom. And those that had kids at 19, that's different than being 14 and 15 and having kids. I knew I didn't want to be, and I say that's different, it is different. And I knew I didn't want to get any diseases. I feel like we did have the fear of God in us, the fear of our parents in us, for those things, even in the midst of being irresponsible. Did that stop us from doing crazy stuff? No, but I think it also allowed us to use a little bit more caution.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dr. I think I might have to disagree with you on that, because I just think about all the cars we got into. Like back then we didn't have cell phones and stuff. And so I'm like, how stupid was that? At least nowadays everybody got a cell phone. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody have a way of potentially getting out of a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we just did some foolish things.
I do think getting in cars with strangers is dumb, but I also think I would rather be that kid that did that when there was no cell phones around than someone that's recovering from drugs and 14 and pregnant and
I mean, but how many drug addicts did you know at Decatur High School? Because I knew several. And I'm not talking about weed. I'm talking about hardcore drug addicts.
Me neither. I'm not. I plead the fifth on that one.
Right.
I ain't gonna call no names, but I'm just saying.
The reason why I plead the fifth on that one, because half of them might be watching this.
Exactly. I got quiet a long time ago.
Just saying.
I'm pleading the fifth on everything right now. Everything.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, things were crazy back then, but I do feel like kids do have way more access to stuff now.
Absolutely.
But I also feel like they are just a different breed of kids, because I feel like these kids are more open with it. They're not ashamed, so they're not really hiding stuff that I would have hid. They would just be like, okay, well, yeah, I went to rehab and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, wow, really? Or, whatever it is. I mean, and I'm not talking about just teenagers, even young kids. They're really just open. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's also kind of a scary thing, because I'm like, wait, what? Is anyone hearing this? Like, am I the only one?
You know what? Carol said to me a long time ago when I was I think I was like 12 or 13. I might have been a little bit younger or whatnot. But Carol told me, she said, Donna, she said, I don't want to know everything about your life. And at the time I was like, what? Like, why would you not want to know everything about my life? Like, you're my mother. You should know everything about my life or whatnot. Like, I was really...
That's a different version of our mother for sure.
Yeah, no, that's what she told me. And that's like, today, I feel like kids overshare because they have access, because they have TikTok and Facebook.
But is that wrong?
All of that stuff. I mean,
I feel like I'm the type of mom. I feel like I would want Anton to come to me and be like, "Hey, mama, I'm about to bust this girl down. Can you take me to the store and get some condoms?" And I'd be like, "Come on, let's roll." You know what I'm saying? Because at least
that's different. That's different. It would be different. It would be different if these kids were going to their parents and having private conversations. But if Anton came to you and he's filming y'all's whole interaction on Facebook Live and talking about, "Hey, mama, I'm about to go bust this girl down," and you're like, "All right, son, come on, let's go get condoms." You know, like, that's different.
Yeah, no. I agree. I agree with that it should be private.
Yeah, like, I feel like some of the stuff you should, like, it should not be on. Put it this way. I'm glad I didn't do a whole bunch of stupid stuff when I was a teenager, but the stupid stuff I did do, I'm so glad it's not recorded. Right. Period.
Aren't we all?
I don't need to look back on that. I have a memory.
Let me tell you, I remember that one time we were at Royal Peacock and we had that. It was a wet T-shirt contest. I don't even know if people wore T-shirts back then.
Yep, that was you, Dr. That wasn't me. That was you. Yep, I remember.
Let me tell you, when I look back at a picture,
and your knees were skinned up.
And my knees.
No.
Wow.
Oh boy, her knees were skint up. Boy, she was trying to get that money.
Oh my God!
Did you get it? Because I remember your knees being messed up pretty bad.
Oh my God!
I tell you, I mean, they were not just skin. I'm being bleeding. First of all, how much did I have to drink where I didn't know both my knees were bleeding?
But did you win?
I forgot about
did you get
that,
the
girl.
money?
I think she got second place.
Have you ever known me to be a good dancer? First of all,
no.
Wait.
And don't blame me, because don't try to say I tried to hype you up either, because I don't see that. I knew I couldn't do it. Because at the time, like, I didn't have tatas to be up there doing the wet T-shirt contest. So that was all you all day.
Definitely with the courage, let me tell you. Oh, and the Royal Peacock, that was such a grunt. I don't even know why we were there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
anyway,
girl.
Yeah, those were the days. Those were the days. But I look back and I feel like
I was just talking about that with somebody too. I was like, yeah, I remember when I first turned 18, and that's the only club we went to forever. Yeah. Like, we couldn't go nowhere else.
Now, we did go to Shout a Lot. We went to Shout a Lot. But I don't know.
That was after the Royal Peacock, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if that was when we turned 18, though.
No.
Yeah, I don't know why we chose that place out of all places. Like, I mean, that first of all, that was a hike from where we lived, but and there was.
I don't even know how we was getting down there, to be quite honest.
I don't remember either. I have no idea. When one of my friends told me, "Hey, remember that time?" And Maurice, now you know, innocent little Maurice, he's like, "Remember that time we went to Royal Peacock?" And I was like, "When?" I blame it on pregnancy and not alcohol and drugs that I don't remember. Because I'm like, I do not remember this at all. I'm like, I'm sorry for all the memories with people that I do not remember. But those two kids, they steal your brain. I blame it on them.
No, blame it on them, all right.
I do. And not adolescents, I do. So that brings me to, what are some things that you look back at that you might, I hate to use the word regret, because I don't feel like I regret any of it, but you look back and you would be like, oh, that would be so different if I knew what I know now. Like, I definitely feel like when I started working, if I knew a lot about money the way I know now, I would have definitely saved a lot more money and not just blown it on club outfits and wigs and makeup every week.
For sure. I'll piggyback off of that because when I had my first job at Sidetrack, I was making more than some folks make now, like at their full-time job. And literally I don't even know what I did with my money besides eat it. Like every time Bill came and picked me up, we were stopping at Burger King because that was his favorite. He was like, "You gonna buy your dad a Whopper, kid?" I'm like, "Yep." So,
I can imagine.
I think I literally ate all my money. Like,
yeah, and that's another thing. I don't think I would have left the house. After leaving home, I literally, that's all I did was eat out most of the time. I think I would have paid more attention to what they were cooking, how, some of the recipes that Bill had, and I would have continued to cook at home. And that's a huge thing because I feel like that's one of the biggest things I've developed a complex about. And it's not just because I'm in this now. It's not just because I'm like teach about a lot about health and wellness. It's just I hate to feel addicted to something. I hate that feeling. I hate to feel like I have no control. Like I'm just like, oh no, I just rather have Chick-fil-A fries today. And I'm just like, no, I rather honestly, especially after the coronavirus hit and I've been cooking at home, I honestly rather just eat at home. I feel so much better. And I'm like, I don't want my kids addicted to fast food. I don't want to feel like they're slaves to anything, alcohol, drugs, smoking, like nothing. I don't want them. It's a scary thought to be like, because I think the scary feeling is helpless when you feel like you cannot control it. You cannot stop doing it. That if I could go back, I literally would say no to fast food.
I would also be more like, when I was 19 when I had Anton, and I just always thought like I never realized the effects of pregnancy, if you will. And I continued to eat, like you said, fast food. I mean, me and Brenton was going, it was a different place every day, and I gained so much weight off of that. And not once did any of my providers that I was seeing say anything about my weight gain. So I thought, I didn't think anything of it at the time. I'm thinking, oh, I'm just about to be a snatchback, whatever they call it, snapback, whatever they call it. And yeah, that snapback never happened to me. Not that I regret it or anything, because I'm working on it now and it's going great. I feel good. Anyways, but if I could go back and change something, I would. Like maybe that would be my one thing. I don't know. And besides the money.
Yeah, if I could go back, I remember from middle school onward, I kind of wanted to shed that like nerd image and try to be like one of the cool kids, even though I failed horribly. But I think looking back now, it's like I would have embraced that part of me earlier. And I don't know, could have been I like what I do, but, could have been a rocket scientist, instead of, just go, nothing wrong with being a lawyer. But at the same time, it's like, I love science. I love, math. And it's like, why didn't I aim to go work at NASA or something beyond, the run of the mill? Oh, go be a lawyer, go be a doctor, go be, again, nothing wrong with being a lawyer, a doctor, anything like that. But the other thing would be, I think, not being as easily influenced. And nothing against my ex-husband. I care for him and, want to make sure, everything's good. But at the same time, I think at the age that I met him, I was very, low self-esteem, very easily influenced. And it's one of those things, it's like, even being that young, you have instincts, and not paying attention to those instincts, even at that age, it's like, yeah, I would have, listened to those red flags.
Girl, you not. I mean, you've said everything.
I think all of us can piggyback off of that one, girl. Mm-hmm. And I think we've all felt that way. I wish I could go back and undo some things based off of just not listening to my first mind. You know, just not going off your first mind. So yeah.
I mean, when I look back and I say to myself, I got married, and not one of my friends. Now, everybody knows that I have really great friends, okay? Not one friend. Everyone knows I have great siblings. Not one sibling, not either of my parents was there. That alone should have been the biggest red flag. Alone should have been the biggest red flag. This is not something you need to be doing right now.
Right.
But I did it anyway. You say hey? She saw your pictures today and she was just like, oh my God, they're so silly. Bye, girl. So yeah, so I completely agree. I completely agree with that.
But with that being said, I think that also influenced me to be the person I am now. Listening to those instincts and not being selfish, but saying, putting my mental health first, putting my emotional health first. You know, this is what I need. I don't want to do it at the detriment of anyone else. I don't think I have to do it at the detriment of anyone else, but I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that I'm okay, I'm good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the fact that you brought up mental health, because that's a huge thing that I feel like I have been in the thick of now in my life, with that I've become so much more aware of. And I feel like it starts with childhood, and it starts with the things that we experience as a child that kind of help either, it's almost like any drug or a stimulant or anything, that it almost brings out, like, here you have childhood, and then if you already have issues going on, underlying issues that you may not even know of as a child, anxiety, depression, you're predisposed to these things already, and then you add on, different experiences into childhood. It's almost like the stimulant that drives you full throttle into these things as an adult. And I think that for our generation, or just for us, especially in this, crew, I don't believe that we were taught good coping skills when it comes to these things. I think that I feel like I can speak for all of our parents, that all of our parents were kind of enablers. They would enable almost like, I don't want to say bad behavior, but I would say not so right behavior, where we should have been encouraged to do certain things, or encouraged to seek out, and I don't want to say counseling, but seek out, different ways to cope with some of the things that we were experiencing as teens. And we just didn't, we didn't have that, those advocates. Well, I don't feel like our parents were good advocates, because and not to say they're not good people. I don't feel like they were good advocates because they didn't have it, so they were only maneuvering from what they knew, and so it's like,
I think to that generation, especially with my mom, that's a generation of you push through regardless of how you feel. It doesn't matter if you're sick or have the flu, you get up, you go to work, you take care of it's one of those things, it's that push through mentality. You don't have time to feel bad. You don't have time to be depressed. You don't have time to worry about anxiety and mental illness and all that stuff, So I think coming from their culture, they probably all dealt with anxiety and depression and some type of mental or emotional distress. But it's one of those things that's like, push through it. But I think nowadays it's more acceptable to say, I'm vulnerable, I need help, So I don't necessarily think they might not have been good role models in that aspect. I just think that based on the culture that they grew up in and the culture that they're from, it's like, hey, you push through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure my dad had some anxiety, especially social anxieties. The way he behaved around people was very erratic to me. Like he was almost like how Danae described the introvert extrovert. It was like he seemed like a very extroverted person, but in actuality, he really wasn't. Like he loved being what seemed like he loved being by himself, watching documentaries, shut off from the world. It felt like he was in his most like happy space, when he was just like, okay, I'm going to come cook for everyone, but I don't want to be the center of attention, and then I'm going to go off and do my own thing. Bye-bye.
And how many of your siblings are like that?
They're all like that.
Including myself.
Yeah, they're all like that. All of my
exactly.
Like that.
Every time I tell somebody that doesn't know me well that I'm shy and I'm an introvert, I get the, what? You? I always get that because I appear extroverted to everybody else, but I'm like, no. And I think it is because I do have anxieties when I'm speaking in front of people or talking to people or meeting new people or whatnot. Especially if it's people that I'm not real close with or whatnot, so I think that's once again come from anxieties, and two, come from what people think about you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in the back of my head, I'm thinking about how these people are going to perceive me. So I have to come off as confident. I have to come off as knowledgeable or, whatever the case may be. And that's why people think I'm extroverted. But I was also going to add on to what Kamisha was saying about the culture that our parents grew up in. Not only did they grow up in that push through era, no matter what you're feeling, you push through, but also, once again, coming from a Black community, Black people don't believe in going to therapy.
Right.
For whatever reason, wherever they got that from, they don't believe in that. That wasn't, this, as long as therapists have been around, this hasn't been a thing for us until I would say the past, like recent years, probably like 10 or so years or whatnot, that now that there's this big light being shown on mental health and the disparities in the Black community.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say something about, I agree with y'all about Bill. Bill was an actor. Period. He was a natural actor. Bill knew when to turn it on and to turn it off. And
I can just see her hands moving. So you went out,
and that was the thing about Bill. He knew. I know, and I'm totally Black. But another thing that I was gonna say was, I also agree with what you guys are saying about Black families and Black communities or whatever. But yeah, it's that sweep it underneath the rug mentality, and let's not deal with the elephant in the room. That type of mentality that does a lot of damage to people. And I'm really speaking from personal experience. Because what happened to me when I was a teenager really has affected me my whole adult life. And I never dealt with, because Carol and Bill didn't help me deal with it then. I was a kid, so I couldn't do things on my own. I couldn't go seek help on my own. I needed them to do this for me. So because they didn't do that for me then, and I'm not saying that it's their fault, or I'm not saying anything against them, because talking about it now and going through therapy and all of that stuff, I understand that that's just, they did the best that they could with what they had and what they knew and the knowledge that they had about, situations or whatever. But for me, it created a sense of worthlessness. It didn't it didn't matter in me, as I got older. Choices that I made and things that I did or whatever was because I didn't I felt worthless because I felt like the people who loved me the most didn't care about me. So there's no chance in hell that someone on the street is going to care about me either. So there's a lot of things that I did as a grown up that, you know, yeah, were really, really some really crazy things and stuff that you like you and Darcy, GR, you and Darcy probably don't even realize that I went through or whatever. When Carol and them was living at Arbor Links, you guys probably don't even realize the things that I was doing then that were really, really bad, you know, and could have ended in me, you know, yeah, just could have ended badly. But it was because I didn't deal with, you know, we didn't deal with those things. I didn't get the help that I needed or whatever. I hope that makes sense. But anyway. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think that that's what I meant earlier by our parents enabled, kind of like weren't really advocates for, you know, and I mean, it is what it is. But at the same token, it's like, what, you know, coming into adulthood, like what kind of coping skills have we learned, you know, now? Like, and do we feel like it's like some of the damage is irreparable? You know, do we feel like we can grow from it, we can change from it, or do we feel like that, well, this is who I am, and that's just kind of it?
I feel like you can always grow and you can always change. And once again, that's me speaking from personal experience. Like, I feel like yeah, I'll be 40 this year, and I'm finally, you know, accepting Danae for who Danae is. You know, and it's been a process. It's been a very long, hard process of looking at myself in the mirror and being really honest and raw, or you know, with myself, you know, forget everybody else. It's with me, you know, but the the things like the things with, especially with my generation, is we can't blame our parents for everything. I mean, I can't be 40 years old talking about, well, when my mama did this when I was 15, you know, this really, I'm still dealing with it. No, like, I need to learn I need to go to therapy or do whatever because I'm grown and I have access to resources now. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, there's no excuse. If you don't want to change, you don't want to change. That's just your prerogative. And if that's who you think you are, then fine, that's who you are. And the world will just have to accept you for that. But I know that I don't want to be that person. You know, I don't want to be that person who, you know, was ready to jump off a bridge or lay on railroad tracks or, you know, give up my life because of insignificant things. When I look back on it, those things were insignificant. You know, I want to be a confident, and I want to be healthy and be able to build healthy relationships and be able to show my kids, you know, hey, this is what this looks like, you know, because like you said earlier about the divorce thing. I mean, I felt like a failure when I got divorced. And I felt like everybody around me looked at me like a failure, no matter what they said. I just knew everybody looked at me like a failure, like you did something wrong. That's why your marriage failed, you know? But that's not the case, you know? That wasn't the case. It was stuff I had to deal with me in a way that I looked at myself that I had to deal with.
Yeah.
So I think that anybody can change. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Have you guys heard the story of like the two brothers that like grew up and like their dad was an alcoholic, and you know, the one brother all of his life growing up, he looked at his dad like, I don't want to be like him, I don't want to be like him, I don't want to be like him. So, you know, when he got older, he made something of himself, you know, he went in like a totally different direction. Then the other brother, as he was growing up, he kept making excuses for the dad, and he kept saying, you know, but my dad is such a good person, and you know, he needed the alcohol. This is just the way that he coped or whatever. And so when the older brother, when that brother grew up and got faced with some challenges, he turned alcohol and became an alcoholic just like his dad. But the moral of the story was like the perspectives of the houses that you grew up in or whatnot. And so 3 of us here have grown up in the same house, with the same parents or whatnot. And I feel like there was things that happened in childhood and teenage years or whatnot for me myself that I knew I did not want to bring into my life when I left the house. I knew that when I grew up and started having kids, that was not something I wanted my kids to have to go through. And not saying that I don't at all feel like I had a bad childhood or a bad upbringing at all. Not saying that at all. But I knew I wanted things to be different. And that was my goal when I left my parents' house, is to provide a different atmosphere for my kids. And I feel like I have done that for the most part. However, with that said, I feel like there was things that happened, like we talked about, that was never addressed, kind of pushed up under the rug or whatnot. And so I hold some type of, I don't want to say resentment because I'm not angry, but for lack of a better word, I'll just say resentment, that has affected relationships, be it with siblings or, even with Carol, my mom or whatnot, that I'm like, well, why did you do this? Or why did you say that to me? Or why didn't you do this to me? Or, what I'm saying? Like, even, for example, and this is like a minor example, I always talk about how we didn't grow up as a lovey-dovey family. Like, we didn't just give each other hugs and kiss each other and tell each other we love each other. Like, I remember I was riding in the car with Branson, and he got a phone call from his sister, and he, at the end of the conversation, he was like, yeah, love you too. All right, bye. And I looked at him like, you just told your sister you love her? Like, y'all do that every time y'all get off the phone? Like, I thought it was weird because I didn't come from that. I used to go hug my mom and tell her I love her, and she'd be like, thank you. So it's things like that as a child that I felt, I didn't get the lovey-dovey, touchy-feely from my parents. But now you can't tell me to stop loving on my boys. Like, I'm always hugging them and kissing them and always telling them I love them. And even Austin, we have an ongoing thing. I tell him, Austin's my 5-year-old. I tell him, I said, come here, Austin. He said, yes. I said, you already know what I want. He said, you want to tell me you love me? And I'm like, yes, I sure do. And like I said, that was just one minor example of how I felt like I missed something as a child that I try to give to my kids now.
Oh, I mean, that is a huge, that is a huge thing that I'm dealing with now because I have been called out many times that I am not a very affectionate person. And it saddens me because I'm like, I love my girls. I'm so affectionate to them. But when it comes to, in a relational sense, I don't know why it's a shutdown. I don't know why. I don't know what a better word it would be for it. I don't know why there's a disconnect for me, a detachment for me to be affectionate to a person that I'm in a relationship with. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I do know why. It is probably because of a lot that I've, experienced in childhood. But I think it's, and no, like a lot of people would instantly go with someone must have molested you. I think that people think that often, like when you're not very affectionate, don't really want to be touched, don't really want to be bothered. I always go for it, like, think that. And whereas I do feel like we dealt with, granddad and his, perversions and all that kind of stuff, whereas that wasn't really also talked about either. But I don't feel like it was to the extreme to make me the way I am now. Do I feel like I have a lot of work to do that I'm trying to do better? Definitely. I'm trying to be, more, and I hate to use the word loving because I feel like I'm a very loving person, but I'm trying to be more affectionate. But that is something that I think that everyone thinks that comes naturally for people, and it just, for me, it just doesn't. And I'm just like, I never really was. I hug my friends and stuff, but even that sometimes is like a very conscious thought, it's not something that is like, oh, you walk in a room and you give a person a hug and, it's like, I don't know. So it's almost funny because it's almost like I secretly like the fact that there's no shaking hands anymore.
Girl.
Oh, God.
I'm like, you can't touch me.
Yeah, I'm all about this social distancing. You have no idea.
Lord.
I'm all about it.
And look, I'm so lovey-dovey now. It's so ridiculous. So my neighbor surprised me with the banner. I don't know if y'all saw my Facebook post. She for my graduation, she printed out pictures of me like throughout my nursing career or whatnot, and surprised me for graduation, and put it up on my garage, right? And without thinking, like I go outside, and I'm like, first off, I'm totally shocked, and yeah, it was just crazy how it all happened. And without even thinking, I was like, oh, let me give you a hug. And I go up to her and grabbed her. And I'm like, oh, shit, COVID. I just felt like, I mean, she didn't say anything and she hugged me back. But I just felt like, and we had literally just had a conversation about this earlier on the phone. So I felt like she was probably thinking like, why are you hugging me? But I'm going to do the respectful thing and hug you back. So I don't know.
So what are some other things you feel like you experienced that maybe you're working on now from that you experienced from childhood that you feel like you need to work on now? I mean, definitely mine is the affection. I'm working on that. And I feel like, again, I feel like I'm a very loving person. I don't know. Maybe I've just always been weird in that aspect. I don't know why. I don't know. I would
Agree with you. I think that it is.
Hmm?
I said I will agree with you. I think that it is very awkward every time I've ever hugged you.
Yeah, I don't even attempt to hug Diary.
Yeah, Diary gives these. You can't even call it a sideways church hug. I mean, like it's really yeah.
You know who's also awkward to hug? William. For those of you guys that's watching, William is my brother. Like sometimes I feel like I'm going to him and I'm like dapping, like going in for the dap, and like he's coming for the hug, and I'm like, oh, we doing this, okay?
No,
I love you, William, if you're watching.
But the funny thing is, Warren and Mimi and them, they have no problem with being overly affectionate, overly touchy-feely. I just be like, if y'all don't get your hands off of me, like, why are you rubbing the side of my face? I mean, like, I could sit there and have a whole conversation and not realize Warren's rubbing the side. I'm like, why are you doing this?
Warren to get in the crevice of a fat roll or something and be tickling you. I'm like, what? How long have you been doing this and why?
That's hilarious. Yeah, I think that I'm definitely working on. Okay, here's something that, because everyone jokes, those that don't know me from my throwback years, about all the tall tales that I told about to sneak and get out of the house and to be free, to have that freedom for my parents. So now, being adults, is there a time to tell the truth and a time to lie, or do we just always tell the truth?
Always tell the truth.
Yeah.
What's the point of lying?
Yeah.
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I think there's no room for lies and secrets in my life. I don't want my kids to do it, so I strive to even tell them the truth. And sometimes I gotta catch myself and say, well, I gotta give them the truth, but they don't need to know the truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's the truth, but they don't need to know like the blunt version of it. It's like, oh, yeah, I can soften this a little bit, but yeah, I don't feel like there's any room for lies anymore. As far as like just, and again, the lies I told as a child was the normal, I want to get out of the house, and so I'm going to tell a tall child to get out of the house. But I look back and I'm just like, I feel like that has now molded me to be a person where when I do know when someone's lying to me,
yeah.
I could hear my dad in my head telling me about distrust and about betrayal, about deceit, and it's like, as soon as I know that someone's lying, it's so hard for me to just not want. I want to just cut them off. I'm just like, I can't deal with a liar. I just cannot deal with someone that's going to sit and look me in the face and just lie to me for no reason, for no earthly reason. I've not given you any reason for it, So I feel like, so that's why I posed that question, because I feel like those are stuff, that is another thing that has molded me to the adult that I am now, something I used to do that now completely destroys me. I mean, it destroys me when I find out that you're a liar and now I can't deal with you.
Listen, I'm the same way. Even the boys would tell you, I can call them down here right now and be like, what does mommy not like? And they'll say one of two things. They say, she doesn't like to be woken up, and she hate liars. Like, I promise to you. Those are the two things they'll tell you. And when I tell you I despise a liar, like, and I've gotten so good at reading people, it's ridiculous. That, like, it's something about I think I'm gonna just say my shondo, the spirit realm start acting up when people just tell me lies, and I'm like, this person think I'm just stupid. But yeah, I think that I think this came from, I realized this. Obviously, I'm not gonna say I never told a lie after this happened. Little lie, like, as a teenager or young adult, calling out from work because I'm sick, and I really wanted to go hang out or whatever. I've done that. Is that acceptable? No. Like, don't do that, But after, like, I told my parents didn't want me dating this one dude, whatever, and I snuck around their back, dated him for a while, and they knew about it the whole time because my birthday rolled around, and my dad was like, "What are you doing for your birthday?" I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "Why don't you call your little friend?" And I'm like, "What little friend?" And he was like, "You know the little friend." And I'm like, "How y'all knew about that?" So they knew that I was lying, like, for months and months without ever telling me. So after that happened, I was like, well, hell, ain't no need to lie to y'all no more. Like, I need to just be honest. And from that point on, I was like, yeah, I'm done with lies. Like, there's really no need for it. And yeah, especially, he just opened up a soapbox. Those folks that come to you and volunteer lies.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I ain't even asking for your lies, and you just gonna come and tell me some lies.
That's the worst. That is the worst. Look at your niece. Look what she done got in her hand.
Hey, TT baby, what she got? A wing?
Yes, this girl crazy. I'm like, where did you get this from?
Get that baby some meat. Get that baby some meat.
Yeah, well, I definitely think that that's a huge one for me. So what is one of your best memories of a time when you were a kid, and more so a memory that you feel like the kids today might not ever experience the way you experienced
it? Playing outside.
Yes. I swear that's the first thing that came to mind.
The street lights came on, or at least being in eyesight, in earshot when the street lights came on.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Walking around the block, going to the candy lady.
Oh my God, yes.
I bet they don't even know what a candy lady is.
Probably not.
I heard the other day, it made me look up at the TV, someone say, and we didn't call it this, but Nini's age group called it this. They called it Happy Crack.
Happy Crack?
Oh, sugar and Pepsi sticks.
Sugar and Kool-Aid.
Oh my gosh.
The the worst. That is the worst thing that you could ever let a child eat. Like,
and we ate it, a lot of it.
A lot of it.
I'm not gonna lie. Someone did dare me to snort it up my nose in the 6th grade.
I think. Do I remember that?
I was wondering if you were gonna say that because I was like, that's not the only way y'all ate. Okay, that's not the only way.
I have never snorted anything up my nose, never ever.
That was the
I
only.
might have snorted and something came out like them chips when I was laughing real hard.
That was the only thing, and let me tell you, I tell you, it burned so badly. It was the worst thing that I could have ever done. It was the worst thing. It was awful. Yeah, I definitely agree. Playing outside is a huge one for me too. So I take lay outside any chance I get. That was my biggest fear. My kids not liking the things that I like, and I love being outside. So I was like, I want you guys to be 30 hiking with me still, and okay, I'm gonna tell you something really funny because it keeps happening, and then I'm just going to let it happen. So one time I didn't have my hair braided so neatly. Won't even say nice, but neatly. And we all went out as adults, Kamisha. It was me, you. I know it was Jessica was there. I can't remember who else was there. Probably Otia and Marlena, but I'm not sure who all was with us at the time. We were at a restaurant, and I decided that I was going to try to wrap my head up, like, on top of my head. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this keeps coming off. So I tried to do it, and my hair was looking a hot mess underneath. And we were sitting there talking. Little to my knowledge, my scarf fell right off my head.
Where was it? I don't remember this.
I know. No one. Hi, Austin. No one said anything. Maybe you guys didn't even notice. I don't know. Hi. But it was the worst. It was the worst thing ever. You hear her now. She's trying to say hey to him.
Hey, Danae. I just want Danae to hear this. What is her name? What's my oldest sister's name? No, you just heard me say it. That's not what you say. He usually be like, hey, Deanna.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so this is gonna be my last question. What do you think is the ultimate thing that you've grown from? That you feel like is just like from childhood, like from teenage years, that you could honestly look back and say, I'm definitely grown, my growth in that aspect, I'm definitely better, or, changed, to say the least, if we're going to use that word.
I would say communicating in relationship for me. I think a lot of times I don't want to, say things as like, oh, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or, and it's one of those things. It's like, especially in the relationship I'm in now, it's like, just be candid. You don't have to post things in a way that's gonna hurt, someone's feelings or destroy a relationship. It's like, if you're both mature enough and adult enough, you should be able to sit down and say, you know what, I like this, or I don't like this, or this is, what I think we should be doing. Or what was it, a couple weeks ago, we sat down, and maybe a lot of couples do this, maybe a lot don't, but we literally sat down and talked about finances. Like, he listed all of his bills, all of my bill, like everything, like all out on the table. And it's one of those things for me, finances, because we want to buy a house soon, is such an intimate thing. And a lot of people are like, I'm just not going to talk about it. You have one spouse getting into $100,000 in credit card debt, and the other spouse doesn't even know about it. Like, I think being able to have conversations just in general as an adult is something that I've grown into, for sure.
Yeah, I think that I have definitely become a better communicator too in that aspect, which we will have a couple of editions soon. But I definitely think that the biggest thing, I don't know if it's better. Well, I feel like it is better, but I feel like I am still working on it, is my discernment. So to piggyback off of kind of what you were saying about, you know, just being more effectively communicating, I feel like I am effectively communicating, but when you get around people that aren't mature, that aren't ready for a person to effectively communicate with them, sometimes it almost, I question, am I missing something? Am I not effectively communicating as well as I think I am? And, you know, so it kind of almost, you know, tricks you. So that's where discernment comes in, where I'm like, okay, this is where you have to sit and tell yourself, you know, let's decipher this situation. Hey, you trying to see them? Let's decipher this situation, whether, you know, I'm actually being tricked or manipulated into feeling a certain way, or if this is my actuality, like, you know, am I really just, what'd you say?
Nothing. I'm telling you to come look at this fat baby.
Oh. She said, who you calling fat? But yeah, so hi, Daniel.
Wow. Hello, my little roly-poly.
Have you seen the thighs?
I have.
Oh my God.
Like little zigzags.
Darcy, you know you're on mute.
Yeah, the boys are running around, so that's why I put myself on mute.
Yeah, it reminds me of a can of croissants, like the Pillsbury croissants.
I'm busting a can of biscuits.
I'm so mad at you guys.
She's so cute. I love it.
It's great. It is.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Not like crazy. I can't appreciate.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I say every day at work.
Yeah, well, what about you, Darius?
I would definitely say communication. Definitely. I know we talked about earlier how I used to be a hothead and now I'm not. Like, I found a better way of expressing myself and getting my point across. And then it was something else you guys talked about as well. Gosh, I can't even remember now. That's what I wanted to say. Just being more of being more spiritual and being more of an open book, and using that as a way to shine light on things that I've been through, as well as motivate others, or, you know, encourage others, so on.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes, you know how there's she's like, I'm gonna tell you guys, you know how people say, oh, move in silence, you know, and then yada, 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 yada. And to an extent, I do agree with that. But I also feel like if you share your journey and you share your story with other people, you never know who needs to hear it. You never know who needs to, you know, feel that they're not alone in a situation, and so on and so forth. I feel like I've always been, for the most part, an open book, but I feel like that's also perspective, you know, different perspectives from different folks, you know, so who knows? I don't know. What about you, Danae?
I guess I would say, I mean, I definitely agree with communication because, you know, looking back, I did not know how to communicate with people, period. What I thought was communication was not. I also feel like I've grown as a person as far as, and I'm gonna have to go in a minute. I also feel like I've grown as a person as far as me growing to love me, you know, and stuff like that. So what happened? I need you to stop. Okay. Yeah, I push it down, right? Huh? I push it down. Yeah, I put it up.
Hey, I gotta go. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Well, guys, we're gonna call it ahead. I want to say thank you for tuning in, the throwback edition, and you know, it was good reminiscing and laughing and putting in perspective like how we've all, you know, it kind of makes me want to do a vision board now. I've kind of had that on my heart, like, all right, you know, here's to dreaming. I feel like a lot of my dreams have come true. So I say for those that are watching, we should do a vision board and send me your vision boards after you do them so I can say this conversation of the throwback edition inspired people to dream a little bit more about the future. We were definitely all pretty much, I feel like we were all dreamers, you know, and we've all kind of made it.
Yeah.
Feel like that? We all made it.
Yeah, I do.
Feel like my dreams have definitely come true, not how I expected them to, but they have. And I think they've come to fruition how they should have come, the way God intended. So
yeah. I agree. Well, thank you guys again, and I will talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.